honestly don't know how people 18 to 30 right now are just going to work and acting like nothing's happening.
Do you think that the American dream is dead?
The American dream is a scam, you got played, and deep down, you already knew that.
The American dream is now an actual dream. Like, when people say that, like, you have to be asleep to believe the American dream nowadays, I could definitely agree with that. They told us that the American dream was simple. It was work hard, go to school, play by the rules, and if you did everything right, you would be perfectly fine in this country. But somewhere along the way, the American dream stopped being a goal that we could achieve, and it became more of a fantasy. For previous generations, the dream meant stability. It meant that you have a home, a family, that white picket fence, a dog, and a few kids, and a future that you could actually plan for. For Gen Z, people like myself, the dream is just getting by without burning out nowadays. We never changed the rules. The rules changed around us, and now it's up to us to adapt to them every time they change. And it's getting pretty exhausting, to be honest with you. We have grown up watching our parents struggle through recessions, layoffs, and the cost of living rising up. We were told that education was the key to everything. So we took on debt before we were old enough to even understand what debt actually was. And now we're adults here being told that if we can't afford rent, groceries, healthcare, or even a home, it's because we didn't work hard enough. We didn't hustle hard enough. But how do you hustle your way out of a system where wages barely move and prices just never stop climbing up? How do you believe in the American dream when owning a home feels like winning the lottery, retirement feels fictional nowadays, and stability feels temporary? Did y'all know that the age to where people retire has gone up? I think it's at like 70. Yet our life expectancy here in America, at least, is around like 70 or 75. They literally want us to work till we die. The American dream used to reward effort, but now it punishes survival. We're not asking for luxury. We're not asking for none of that stuff. We're asking for livable wages, affordable housing, and a future that doesn't require 3 jobs, a side hustle, no rest, and constant anxiety. The American dream didn't disappear overnight either. It was chipped away bit by bit, year after year, until it became something that you only hear about in stories. So when people ask why Gen Z is frustrated, tired, and angry, and just damn near about to crash out, that is the reason why. We just woke up and realized that the American dream was never meant for us in the first place.
American dream is not my dream. It was a dream fed to me, even since a child. They do it really young. Even as a kid, it's like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And then that's how they start conditioning you to believe that your whole purpose of existence is working. So then, as a young child, you're like, I'm going to be this, and I'm going to go to this college, and I'm going to do that. And they keep you in this loop so young, just constantly wanting to do this, constantly wanting more, and never really feeling alive and joyful for what you have right now. Just to be a kid. Even as a child, you're in such a hurry to get older. And it's like, no. Embrace youthfulness. Embrace play and joy every day. Embrace presence. There's no need to constantly desire and acquire things. You go to other places in the world where they don't have all these curated realities, and these kids, their dreams are to see their parents again, to get some food to eat. And then you make you really sit and think like, what the hell is this world? What the hell world am I living in? And they're so happy and so joyful to be alive because they're not dreaming and constantly needing to acquire things to be alive. It's the small things, because it's only the simple things that really matter.
The American dream is dead. People don't have a future to look forward to. And it comes back to the cost of living now and the utter uncertainty about whether we'll be able to afford to live at all in the future. We can't count on our healthcare because your healthcare depends on your employment if you're so lucky. And the cost goes up every year. And if you lose your job, you also lose your health care. We can't count on good housing because the rent goes up every year, and getting a mortgage has become inaccessible for way too many. If you have kids, you don't know if you're going to be able to afford to put your kids in daycare or what the cost of their education is going to be. And if you're aging, you don't know if you're going to be able to collect on Social Security, which was a promise that was made 90 years ago. And now Donald Trump and Tom Barrett are trying to break that promise. The fact of the matter is that there are billionaires in San Francisco and New York who are eating the whole pie and are leaving the rest of us to fight over the crumbs, while they divide us with social media algorithms. They want us fighting against each other. And Trump is a master at this. Every vector of division in society he exploits, whether it's race, religion, where you were born, gender, even partisanship, Democrats versus Republicans. They want us fighting against each other along all of those lines. Because if we're doing that, we're not fighting against the billionaires who are the ones who are hoarding the wealth that we all need to live a dignified life in the 21st century.
I mean, this is like so fundamental to the American dream, the fact that you can roll up your sleeves, get to work hard, and rise through the ranks. What's wrong with that?
So that's much, much harder to do now than it used to be. And one of the reasons is that the middle has been stripped out of the labor market. Look, we've all heard statistics like that a CEO used to make about 20 times what a production worker makes. Now it's 300 times. But it's not just CEOs. A doctor used to make 4 times what a nurse makes. Now it's 8 times. A partner at a law firm used to make about 5 times what a legal secretary makes. Now it's 40 times. A bank president used to make about 50 times what a bank teller makes. Now it's 1,000 times. And what's happened is that the good middle-class, mid-skilled jobs that used to dominate work have been destroyed and replaced with a lot of gloomy jobs at the bottom and a few super elite, glossy jobs at the top. And if we want to fix inequality, what we really have to do is fix that. We have to fix work.
Is the American dream dead? Here are the percentage of Americans in their 30s that both own a home and are married. In the 1950s, 52% of people both owned a home and were married. In the 1960s, 53% of people were married and owned a home. In the 70s, 49% of Americans. In the 80s, 45% of Americans both owned a home and were married. In the 90s, 44%. In the 2000s, 33% of Americans both owned a home and were married. The 2010s, 22%. By 2020, only 15%. By 2025, only 12% of Americans both own a home and are married. I'm not really sure if it's still the American dream or what's going on, but if it's not the American dream, what is?
The American dream is a scam. You got played, and deep down, you already knew that. From the moment you took your first breath, they started feeding you that dream. Work hard, be good, follow the rules, and you'll be rewarded. You'll have peace, security, and freedom. A little house, a little joy. But see, that was never the plan for you. That story was told to keep you obedient, to keep you in line. So you would clock in, clock out, and not ask too many damn questions. So you would go into debt for a degree, for a house, for a car, chasing something they promised, but they never planned on delivering it to you. They don't want you to be free. They want you to be docile. They want you grateful for crumbs. Because understand, when you're busy dreaming, you're not paying attention to who's stealing your future. So wake up. The dream, it was a lullaby. And it's time that you stop sleeping on the truth.
Let's talk about who the American dream was never meant for. From the start, the American dream was a myth. In the 1930s, the US government literally drew lines around primarily black neighborhoods in order to deny them loans, a process today known as redlining. Not only was this harmful because it kept black Americans out of homes, but it also denied them access to generational wealth. Meanwhile, throughout the 20th century, black workers and immigrants were exploited in factories, in mines, and in fields, while the rich got even richer. Not to mention union busting and wage theft kept families in poverty for decades, and we can even see those effects today. It's not that the American dream is broken, it's that it is a myth for the majority of people. It was meant for white middle-class people who had the resources to try to elevate themselves to the top 1%. So by supporting billionaires like Elon Musk or like Mark Zuckerberg, you are supporting a system that actively hurts minorities as well as the everyday people just like you. It's time for us to rebuild a system that is truly fair and equitable for everybody. Peace and love!
This is the most unaffordable housing market that America has ever seen. Let's use this home as an example, which is the American dream for a lot of people like me and my fiance. We do pretty well for ourselves, we earn in the six figures, and we've always wanted this. But then this happened. $553,000 for this house. You may be thinking to yourself, well, that's not so bad. Let me show you. This home that was sold for $553,000, that was listed for $489,000, sold for $337,000 back in 2018. This home in 2025 with a $553,000 sale price, 6% down and a 6.5% rate, gives you a payment of $3,716. Back in 2018 with a $337,000 sale price, 6% down and a 4.5% rate, gives you a payment of $1,800. Which means to afford that home today, you need a household income of $230,000. When in 2018, you needed a household income of $100,000. Meaning that back in 2018, a couple with 2 entry-level jobs could have afforded this house. That's the issue that many people like me and my fiance are having. How is it that we have to earn more than twice as much money to do the same things that people used to be able to do just 5-6 years ago? One of the worst parts is we can't get any honesty around the situation. So if you want honest news around what's going on in the housing market, make sure you check out my newsletter in my link in bio called Pissed Off Buyer. And let me know in the comments what's happening with the housing market in your city. Like, follow, and comment for more.
I honestly don't know how people 18 to 30 right now are just going to work and acting like nothing's happening. This is going to be a deep dive into the modern American dream and what people need to realize if they're young in their career right now. And if you are just doom scrolling, go ahead and go to the next one. But if you are actually serious about taking career advice from someone who has left a $300K a year corporate job to run their own business in 2025, let's talk. I just want to give you a little bit of context as to where we are at and mapping this to past trends in the US. My mom's parents, my dad's parents, neither of them went to college. They grew up in a small town, a manufacturing town back when the United States was the manufacturing capital of the world. And what happened when I go to their towns now, which is a small town in Indiana and a small town in South Carolina, there's a graveyard of factories that are completely empty. They have been deteriorating for 20 to 30 years. Right now, if you are 18 to 35, we are just like our grandparents who are working at a factory. There's a clear path. Maybe you're in tech and there's a high-paying job. You can save money. You can live a good lifestyle. But you know what just happened? And this is the same shit as our grandparents experienced is, hey, they're working at the Ford factory and it's going great. But you know what? GM just announced they're moving their facilities to China. And oh, that's okay. Hey, Cursor is replacing the need for engineers at tech companies. Some of the biggest investment banks in the world are forecasting a recession, but hey, it hasn't hit me yet. I'm making $150K. I'm just going to save 10% more this month. The same exact shit is happening right now, guys. And if you are 18 to 35, you have 2 choices. You can hold on to your slightly above average, higher than normal paying job, and you can wait 3 to 5 years until you finally get cut, and then you've got to figure it out when you're even more entrenched in your lifestyle, or you can actually start building or changing careers right now. If you have the ability to go really deep on the technical side and you understand that world, maybe that's a path for you. But if not, and I'm dead serious, guys, you need to learn how to sell right now. I don't see a path in 2050 and beyond where almost any type of job is still in demand. Now, sure, there's going to be programmers, there's going to be analysts, there's going to be lots of different, traditionally high-paying roles, but with how much software is doing, there's going to be less of those jobs available because AI is going to be a co-pilot and making those jobs execute much faster with less people. And additionally, the pay bands for those, which right now a highly skilled software engineer can still command 400 to 500K, that is going to slow down, and overall, on average, that is going to come down further and further. There is no advantage anymore in being a great programmer like there was between 2000 and 2020, where if you were the first person to market, you made the first Uber of whatever, you had a real chance of building a successful, fast-growing business. That is commoditized. I built a ChatGPT bot yesterday in an hour that automated 5 hours of work per week, and I don't even know how to program. So if you do not know how to sell, I recommend getting an entry-level sales job at a reputable company, especially if you have a solid background, so you can just understand the skills of how to carry a one-on-one conversation, how to sell a higher ticket item business to business, and or maybe you don't necessarily want to do that if you are not learning how to play the social media game, if you are not trying to build a YouTube, a TikTok, or an Instagram. Just pick one. You don't have to do all 3 at the beginning. But if you are not learning that, guys, I don't see a future where 10 years from now, you're going to have a real chance to compete against AI and so many jobs. So with that being said, I'm giving honest career advice of someone who has left their $300K corporate job because I built an online business that is bigger than that salary. If you want more of that advice, that is what this channel is about. And I also make tons of free in-depth guides on YouTube about tech sales as well. So yeah, let me know where you're at. Let me know if you agree, disagree, and we'll see you guys on the next one.
American dream ain't real, never was. It's a bedtime story they tell the poor so we don't wake up and burn the whole system down. Work hard, play by the rules, and you'll make it. Yeah? Then why are millions of us barely scraping by while billionaires hoard enough money to end poverty 100 times over? They tell us it's about effort, that if you're struggling, it's your fault. Not the rigged economy, not the landlords jacking up rent 150% since the 90s, not the fact that minimum wage hasn't kept up with inflation since the 60s, and not the fact that half of us don't have $500 for an emergency while CEOs make that in a second. Nah, it's you. You just didn't try hard enough. I say bullshit. They say go to college, but a degree don't mean nothing when you're drowning in debt you'll never pay off. Student loans in this country total $1.7 trillion. And who profits? The same banks that needed bailouts while we all lost our homes in 2008. The same politicians that send their kids to Ivy League schools with no debt, no struggle, and no worries. It was never about giving us a future. It was about trapping us. They say, buy a house. With what? Wages ain't moved in decades. Rent so high, can't even save. The average home price is 5 times what it was in the 80s, and they want to tell us it's just inflation? No, it's greed. It's billionaires and banks buying up homes, turning neighborhoods into playgrounds for the rich, pushing working people into the dirt. They say just get a good job. Where? Factory jobs are all gone. Retail jobs can barely pay rent. Healthcare costs can wipe out your whole life savings overnight. They say the economy is booming. But for who? Because it ain't the single mom working 2 jobs just to keep the lights on. It ain't the guy breaking his back in a warehouse with no benefits. And it sure as hell ain't the millions working harder than ever just to stay broke. And then they tell us, well, at least you have freedom. Freedom to what? To die because we can't afford insulin? To work ourselves to death while billionaires ride rockets to space? To choose between rent and food? That ain't freedom. That's a death sentence. The truth is, the American dream is a leash, a scam, a fantasy to keep us obedient, to keep us blaming ourselves instead of the real enemy, the ones who rigged the game in the first place, and they will keep us chasing that lie until the day we die, unless we finally say enough. We don't need to work harder. We don't need to suffer more. We need to take back what's ours. We built this country. We keep it running, and we're the ones struggling? Nah, not anymore. The dream is dead. Time to build something real.
Do you think that the American dream is dead?
We cannot use the same playbook our parents gave us to live life today, right? We've been told this American dream. You work hard, you study good, you go to college, you get a good job, you climb the corporate ladder, and you will be able to buy that white picket fence home, go on 2 vacations a year, and have your 2 kids and a golden retriever. It doesn't work like that anymore. You cannot save your way to rich unless you are making upwards of $500,000 a year. You cannot get there through saving.
The American dream does not exist. The only reason it existed before was because the US empire was at the peak of its imperialist power. Its control over the rest of the world was absolute, and by causing horrific suffering around the world, the US could provide luxuries for its citizens. Today, that control is slipping.
The capitalist wants to extract the greatest possible profits from their workers, and the workers want to be paid as much as possible for their labor. These 2 goals cannot be reconciled, and so there will always be conflict. The problem in hyper-capitalist countries like the United States is that the capitalist class has near complete control. They've destroyed unions, gutted labor protections, bought favorable legislation to make those practices easier, and are now able to make things worse and worse for the average person.
That's why you can't afford a home, or groceries, or a car. That's why you don't have any benefits. That's why every new job created is gig work. It's not because you're unlucky, or the country is just going through a rough spot, or the wrong person is in the Oval Office. This is how capitalism works. It will always be how it works. And it's why you will never be able to afford the American.
Good afternoon! My name is Jim Bennett. I'm a 100% disabled veteran with PTSD. It took a suicide attempt to get attention from the federal government because I was living in a shack without a shower. They have the money! They spent over $1 trillion on Afghanistan. I worked in the Pentagon before 9/11. I went to Afghanistan in 2011 and 2012. They have the fucking money! Woo! Woo! Fought the fucking war, but we lost! They have money to fix your water heater and get you a hot damn shower! Woo! Hot water is a human right! There are people in third world countries, I've been there, they live in a higher standard of living than the people across the street that have a boarded up window! Okay? You do not have to drive a car and walk to one of these slumlord stations. It's all around us. None of the people that work in here live in here. Woo! So quit taking their shit. I'm done with the bullshit. I'm fed up. You have 22 suicides a day with veterans. We're only 6% of the population, so we don't get attention. But I'm here today because everything sucks. Insurance went up. Groceries went up. Who can afford to go grocery shopping? You? Can you? Groceries, rent, car, right? If it costs you $300 to fill your car with groceries for a family of 4, it costs you $1,500 for a 3-bedroom house that doesn't have a backyard. Forget having a dog. Forget having children. The American dream is a nightmare. Woo! I can't use for my rescue. Woo! Okay? The possibility, the opportunities are here. We gotta work 80 hours a week to pay fucking rent. That ain't right. That ain't right. Don't do that high because housing purchasing is impossible for most of us. Try getting 20% down on a mortgage. They'll laugh at you. You need primary mortgage insurance. What the fuck is that? Woo! You got $1,200 for a mortgage. How are you going to save up money for that down payment when you're working 80 hours a week to scrape by and the landlord ain't fixing shit? So you got to fix the stuff yourself. Hey, can I get with you first? I went out there and bought some valves and I think, oh, you know, thanks for doing that, but we're not going to hire a plumber. I have friends of mine had to wait over 60 days post-pandemic just to get a plumber to show up to their house because the landlord wanted to shop around for the cheaper person. Broken!